Good morning, America. My name is Michael Evans. You have joined America's Voice Now. I apologize for being out yesterday. I was a little under the weather, and as you can hear, I'm still battling a cold. So I apologize for missing yesterday's show. Hope you enjoyed that interview with G. Edward Griffin. He's a favorite friend of mine, and thought that was a worthwhile opportunity for you to hear something that would educate you a little bit. I want to talk this morning in bullet points in reference to the recent information out about drones. There is an exclusive Justice Department memo that's been revealed that is indicating that drones and the Justice Department have determined that it's fully acceptable for drones and drone strikes to be used against Americans. Now, the memo relates specifically to overseas application. However, they are using language which is directly out of the AUMF. And that means that they are using the language that says an associated force. Now, if you recall, under the National Defense Authorization Act, the term associated force can be basically used to mean anything. And the question that I have is, if they are approving drone strike uses in overseas, how much longer will it be before we find a secret memo from the Justice Department that states that they can use them domestically? Now, this Justice Department is completely out of control, along with every other aspect of this administration. But when you've got the Department of Justice running cover and frontal attacks for this administration against American citizens, I believe it's high time that Congress got involved and stripped this Justice Department of authority to be able to make these types of claims. It is not legal. Just because the Justice Department says it's legal doesn't mean it is. And this administration is stepping into some very, very dangerous water here. Now, the reality of the way that they're couching this is that they are stating that these drone strikes can be used, and they don't even have to have proof. I mean, there is absolutely no due process associated with this with the decision as to who is going to die as a result of some unnamed justice official who will declare that that individual is a risk. And the concern, of course, is that there is absolutely zero accountability, number one. And number two, there doesn't even have to be an imminent threat. Now, I find that contrary to every concept that every American, irrespective of ideological tilt, would approve. I mean, there is absolutely no reason why you can have an individual in the Justice Department make a determination and declare that an individual is subject to termination based on this unnamed individual's concern that this individual may, at some point in the future, create a risk of attack on the United States of America. I mean, that's hogwash. And it's time Congress stood up and said so. How much longer, Congress, are you going to sit around and allow this administration, both the Justice Department and the executive branch, to continue to abuse the American citizenry like this? There's no due process associated with it. No one has to review this individual case. No one has an opportunity to hear the opposing position. We have no way of knowing who is being looked at, who's being reviewed, who's being targeted, under what circumstances, why, how, when, where, and if. This is an unconstitutional mandate of death. And I, for one, find it horrific and heinous that our government would consider that this is even acceptable practice. This department memo is a chilling reminder of exactly how far our national interest has degenerated into the interests of this dictator-in-chief. It is time that America began to take our nation back. And if Congress will not do it, unfortunately, they're going to leave our nation in a position where, at some point in time, the American citizenry are going to have to figure out how to separate ourselves from a national government that has become dictatorial and totalitarian. States are already looking at secession. Why? Because they refuse to live under a mantle of tyranny. and we can't expect them to continue to do so. That's my bullet points. This whole thing has got me so frustrated. You can find links for it on our Facebook page. You can find a story on it on our website at americasvoicenow.org. You can find a link to it on Facebook at facebook.com/America's Voice Now. You can also find this show after we're done here on youtube.com/America's Voice Now. If you'd like to share this story and this today's show with your friends, by all means, feel free to do so. We are going to be joined by a guest this morning, Art Thomas. Art is going to be running the rape and assault prevention classes that we've been speaking about. Now, these are starting on February 11th and running through March 18th. And the cost of this is $10 per class per person, or if you prepay for all 6 classes in advance, the cost will be a flat $50. This is going to be held at the Country Cupboard up in Licking. And if you're not familiar or you haven't heard this before, this is basically a program to act as a prevention measure for men, women, boys, and girls for not only rape, but assault prevention classes. So if you've got a child that's experiencing trouble at school where they're being bullied or along those lines, women, if you're concerned about either assault or bullying or rape yourselves, then by all means, and hey, listen, men get raped too. So this is an opportunity for you to learn how to fight back, how to survive a situation like that, how to have situational awareness around your own personal sphere of access, and what you can do about it in the event that you are attacked or assaulted. It's a great opportunity for you to take this class, and there are 2 ways that you can get signed up for this. One, you can go into the Country Cupboard up on Highway 63. It's at 217 North Highway 63 in Licking, and that would be the first way. You can sign up there, and then the second method is you can either send an email to me here at mike@americasvoicenow.org, and in that subject line put in rape assault class. Or you can send an email directly to Art, who is the instructor for the class, and that is Starman UNO, like Starman Uno. And that is starmanuno at yahoo.com. StarmanUno at yahoo.com. Again, in the subject line, type in Class 7. Or rape and assault class. Make sure you leave a phone number so that you can be contacted back. Now, there's only a certain number of spots. There's only 8 spots available, and I'm not sure how many slots are open yet. Okay, there's a few spots left open in Licking, and of course, Art is very interested in not only having the class there, but also making sure that it's available in other locales as well. So if you can't make it to Licking, of course, by all means, that's fine. Make sure that you contact Art through that email address or send it to me, and I'll forward it on to him. What we want to try to do is make sure that there's a core group of folks who want to take a class in a specific area, and Art has stated he'd be willing to make arrangements to hold those classes in other locales. So this is an important event. It's a great community service that Art is doing, and I strongly encourage you to take this program. It's also a great introduction if you're ever considering any kind of self-defense training or martial arts or anything along those lines. It's a good precursor to that. So I would encourage you to contact us. You can send me email at mike@americasvoicenow.org, or you can contact Art directly at starmanuno@yahoo.com. In either event, put something in the subject line so that he or I know what you're talking about. All right, we're going to have to take a break. It's the quarter of the hour, and we want to make sure that we cover our sponsors. When we come back, we will have our phone lines open for a few minutes. You can call us on the Wits End Classic Barbershop hotline. You can dial 257-1111. Or if you're out of our local area and you're out in the hinterlands, you can call us at 866-554-6636. Jason from Wits End Classic Barbershop is our sponsor of our phone lines. Great barbershop right on the square in West Plains. He cuts my hair. He also has a couple of other services that you should be aware of. One, he does a hot lather shave with a straight razor that is just a real nice treat. So if you'd like to give your man or your guy a special treat, make sure that you take him over to the Wits End Classic Barbershop in West Plains on the square. He also has a a zero-gravity massage chair that will blow your mind. So when you get in there, ask him about that as well. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we return from this break, we will spend 1 or 2 minutes talking about 1 or 2 other news articles, and then we will be joined by Art Thomas at the 8:30 hour. I do want to remind you that there's a gun show this weekend in West Plains at the Civic Center, and it runs Saturday and Sunday. If that's something of interest to you, make sure that you're there to attend. Also, do not forget that the representative election to replace Joanne Emerson is in Van Buren on Saturday, and that is going to be held at 10 o'clock. We'd like to have a showing of people out there with some signs indicating that Parker is the candidate for that slot. So if you can be there, make sure that you're out there with a sign, letting these elected or letting the officials who are going to be choosing the candidate know exactly how you feel. You're listening to America's Voice Now. I'll be back in just a moment. My name is Mike Evans, and we will rejoin you in about 1.5 minutes. Well, so much for automation, folks. Not quite sure what happened there, but that's okay. I can certainly talk through the break. We'd like you folks to be reminded that we have a couple of new sponsors on board. West Plains Pawn and Gun can be found at westplainspawn, PAWN.com. Outstanding firearms store. They are also pawn shop, but their primary focus is firearms. And they are located in West Plains on Highway 160, about a mile past Walmart. Make sure that you get down there and see those guys. They've got at least 400 guns under glass. They are a Kimber master dealer, and they carry all kinds of Kimber, Glock, Taurus, Heckler & Koch. I mean, pretty much anything that you could want, from a simple .22 revolver all the way out to, a Kimber concealed carry. They've got holsters and accessories and ammunition. They have new guns coming in every single day. And they have great rifles. They've got hunting rifles. They've got tactical weapons. They've got shotguns for turkey season and home defense. There's pretty much nothing that they don't offer in the gamut of firearms. And so I strongly encourage you to get down there. They have recently become a Title III SOT dealer. That's Special Occupational Tax. What that means is that you have an opportunity to have them handle transfers for like a suppressor if you're interested. So there are special rules that apply. This is all NFA stuff, National Firearms Act stuff, and suppressors, as you know, fall under a totally separate system than regular firearms transfers. But they do have the ability, and they're the only local dealer in the area that can handle special occupational tax transfers for things like suppressors and full auto weapons. If you're interested, you can contact them at 417-256-3000. That's 417-256-3000. They have just recently started that program, and I know that they have some suppressors that are to be delivered shortly. So if that's something that interests you, by all means, give a call. They are not silencers, by the way, people. They are suppressors. They do not silence the weapon. They just reduce the amount of noise that's associated with it. By the way, for the record, they're completely legal in Europe, in those places where you can still have a gun in Europe. Because the original design and concept of a suppressor was simply to protect the hearing of the shooter. Unfortunately, the United States has demagogued suppressors into some kind of evil monster thing where everybody would be running around like 007 assassinating everybody else. And so we've made them an illegality, unless, of course, you're willing to sign up and pay a special occupational tax to obtain one. It's just another way for them to track you. Pizza Hut is another sponsor for us, and they have recently joined with our program. Make sure that you get to see them. They're on they're right on Porter Wagoner, and make sure that you get an opportunity to get down there for their lunch buffet. They have a great salad and pizza lunch buffet. And then on Tuesday nights, they have a family night where kids eat free. So make sure that you get down there. Ask for Bree when you get there. She's a special friend of our show, and she's a server there, and she'll be more than happy to take great care of you. And when you get to these vendors, by the way, folks, please make sure that you say to them, "Hey, I heard about your place on America's Voice Now, and Mike told me to come visit. So here I am." Welcome to the show, caller. Caller, you're online.
Good morning, Mike. I didn't know it was on.
Good morning.
This is Richie from Branson.
Hey, Richie Branson.
Real quick, I know you got a guest coming on, but I was really, well, I shouldn't say surprised, but Joe from Afghanistan had told me that on the prior show he heard there was legislation planning. They were considering on allowing guns in the churches. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. Where do they even get the authority to decide on what goes on in the churches? They're the ones that scream the loudest about separation of church and state.
Yeah, right.
Oh, God, this country's gone insane. It's over.
Everything that we know, Rich, is topsy-turvy. Everything is 180 degrees from. This is the equivalent, folks, of what would happen in the event that you were standing in a room, and suddenly gravity no longer functioned, and you found yourself floating without the ability to get a hold of or be able to function in any normal way. And that's exactly the way they want this. I have to tell you, here's the process with this administration. They want chaos in every aspect and respect of our national life. And the reason why is because while we're all running around trying to figure out how to sort out the chaos, they're feeding on it. They are feeding on it, literally.
Hey, Mike?
Yeah.
This does prove one thing to me, okay? A lot of the churches have incorporated themselves and placed themselves under the jurisdiction of man's statutes. 501c3 tax-exempt status. And, I forget which book of the Bible says, but my watchmen are like dumb dogs unable to bark. And then he lists the reasons why. And the very first reason on the list is they're greedy.
Yep.
They want the money. It's all about the money.
Listen, they are addicted to power just like a representative in Congress. They're addicted to power as well, and they easily fall under the sway and the lure of that drug called power. And they get power not from constituents, but from a congregation. And also there's monetary power associated with the being a preacher and being in a church. And I have to tell you, I think on a personal level, our churches as a whole in this nation have absolutely abdicated their responsibility to their congregations. Our ministers who are sitting here refusing to talk to their congregations, about what is going on in our nation, you would have the congression or the church leaders from the original colonies rolling over in their graves if they understood exactly the failure that our religious leaders have dealt to us. It's absolutely abomination.
My only question is, I can't figure out who's the pimp and who's the hoe.
Yeah, well, I hear you there. Hey, listen, thanks for the call. I appreciate you, bud.
Bye.
Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show. Quickly.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Locally, what we can do is go to Van Buren Saturday morning and represent Mr. Parker and endorse him. There's so much trouble that we're having in Washington, D.C. Locally, that's where we have to start.
I don't disagree with you. So everybody should be in Van Buren with a sign on Saturday that says Parker. I don't care if it's handwritten. You don't have to make it fancy. Just make sure that you're there and you've got it on a stick and you can hold it up in the air so that these chairman and vice chairman can see it. That's the game plan, folks.
There just seems to be too much cronyism going on in the Republican Party right now.
We know that for a fact.
Yeah, about who we're going to have to vote for and who not to. And I just can't. Joanne Emerson had to set this up.
Well, she didn't set it up. The Republican Party set it up, and she was their puppet.
Well, Mike, she knew that she was going to take this job.
Of course she did. Of course she did.
So she didn't want the Republican Party didn't want any Tea Party candidate taking her spot. So this was a setup from the beginning.
It sure was.
Now.
Hey, listen, I absolutely agree with you 100%. Make sure, folks, that thank you, by the way, for the call. Make sure, folks, that you are up there on Saturday to with a sign in Van Buren, so that these folks, we'll put the address up on our Facebook page, so you can go to facebook.com/America's Voice Now. Now, even if you don't have a Facebook page, you can still go there and read the articles that are up there on our Facebook page, even if you're not a Facebook member. And I get it, if you're not, that's fine. But that doesn't mean that you can't use it as a great news source and a great opportunity for you to capture information and stories that we put up there every day. Because there's a source of information that we find that we can shoot live to you as it happens on a daily basis. All right. Couple of quick things I want to point out before we take our break and have Art on. One, I want to know where the outrage is from all of these, all of the progressive side in reference to this legal drone strike issue. I want to hear the progressives who were screaming bloody murder about something as simple as waterboarding, when now we're going to go straight past waterboarding and go straight to murder. And by the way, if there's some collateral damage, oh well, what the hell? That's completely unacceptable. And I want to hear where the American Civil Liberties Union is. I want to hear where the Black Caucus is. I want to hear where women are on this and the National Organization of Women. I want to hear where the churches are. This is murder. Did you hear that, preachers? Murder. So, pull your Bible and find out what the Bible has to say about murder, and then take some action as a church collective organization. If you're not going to do that, then you're abdicating the responsibility that you have to being a mentor to a flock. I don't know what else to tell you. The Federal Reserve got hacked yesterday. Yes, the Federal Reserve got hacked. And they've stolen the details of 4,000 different bankers. I can't wait to see that hit the web. Imagine what that kind of dirty laundry is going to look like. There's a link up on our website. You can find out about it. By the way, it's interesting. The story breaks, but the only place to cover it is the UK Guardian. Isn't that interesting? They're covering news about the United States Federal Reserve, but the United States news media won't. 7 million people are going to lose their insurance under the Obamacare health law. I thought the whole premise behind this was to give 20 million uninsured people insurance. So now what we're going to have is 20 million who are going to be insured who can't really afford it, so they're actually never going to get the insurance because it's going to cost $20,000 per family to offer the insurance. That's the cheapest price plan that they've come up with. I don't know about you, but I can't afford that, so I'm going to have to pay a $2,500 penalty for which I'll get absolutely nothing. So literally what's going to happen is we're going to have 7 million people who are going to lose their insurance under their corporation plan. And then because corporations are going to be bailing on this thing like rats off a sinking ship. And then we're going to have literally tens of millions of American families who can't afford the $20,000 plan. So what we're going to have is a boondoggle that's going to cost us $1 trillion and uninsure probably half of America. Hey, thanks a lot, Obama. We really appreciate that. That's exactly what we needed. You piece of trash. Homeland Security only approves 10% of all the Freedom of Information Act requests. Ladies and gentlemen, that ought to tell you that we are operating in a shadow government. 10% of all the Freedom of Information requests submitted to Homeland Security are responded or granted. 32% are fully denied, and 89.5% are fully or partially denied. Really? The most transparent administration in history? Mr. President, was that what you told us? I got to question that. How is it that you told us this was going to be the most transparent administration in history? You lied to us. Good Lord. GMO giant Monsanto joins Big Business Coalition to implement UN Agenda 21. There's a link up on the website, folks. If you're not following what's going on with Agenda 21 and the monsters like Monsanto who aim to basically own the rights to food and therefore own your butt, because you're going to have to eat, you're missing the boat. You're listening to America's Voice Now. When we come back, we're going to be joined by Art Thomas, and he is going to talk to us about the rape and assault program that he's putting together. We'll be right back.
Radio. I'm Chris Foster. The post office plans to cut back on Saturday service starting in August, saying it'll save $2 billion a year.
The mailman would still deliver packages on Saturday, and post office boxes would still get a weekend visit, but house delivery would be Monday through Friday only. But Congress may be a problem. It has in the past blocked attempts by the Postal Service to go to 5-day mail delivery. The agency is plagued by large obligations to its retirees, particularly health care.
Fox News Radio's Mike Makowitz in Washington. President Obama's pick for new Interior Secretary, Sally Jewell, boss of the outdoor equipment and clothing company REI. That announcement is expected this afternoon. If confirmed, she'd replace Ken Salazar, who's leaving the administration. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. The cat replacing the iron as a game board token in Monopoly. The results of an online vote. Fox News. We report. You decide.
Family Fun and Fitness, LLC presents rape and assault prevention classes at Country Cupboard in Licking, Missouri. Men, women, boys, and girls. If you want to know how to stack the deck in your favor in a situation where violence is the only answer, this class is for you. Rape and assault prevention classes are held Monday evenings at 5:30 beginning February 11th and run through March 18th. Class size is limited, so call today 417-260-1006 or register at Country Cupboard, 217 North Highway 63 in Licking.
I know what you're thinking, Bunk. You're thinking, did he fire 6 shots or only 5?
Dirty Harry gets all his ammo from the battery station. John Rambo, you guessed it. He gets his ammo from the battery station, too. So if you need ammo, go to the place where the guys who know about ammunition go, the battery station. They have one of the largest supplies of ammunition in the area. So make sure you're stocked up and don't get low on shells. Go to the battery station at 303 Washington Avenue in West Plains.
Weather is a service of News Talk 107.1 The Point. Contact Josh or Cody at 255-2548 for more information on making weather sponsorships part of your marketing plans.
From the Point Weather Center for this morning, a clear sky, sunny through the day, high 56, becoming cloudy tonight with a slight chance for a shower, low 40. Much better chance of showers tomorrow with variably cloudy skies, high 58. Sunshine for Friday with a high near 50. I'm staff meteorologist Jim Rinaldi, and for more information, visit my1071thepoint.com.
Today, you ate Greek yogurt. You took the train. You wondered why people spend so much time reading celebrity blogs. You read a celebrity blog. You planned a workout. You skipped it. You did all the things that one normally does the day before a devastating earthquake shakes the community to the ground. You never know when the day before is the day before. Prepare for tomorrow at ready.gov/today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
All right, we are back. Thank you for pausing through that break with us. We appreciate it. Make sure that you visit our sponsors. They're the folks that keep this show alive and on the air for you. We do have a couple of sponsors we want to make sure that you have an opportunity to visit with. The Battery Station at 303 Washington Avenue in West Plains. You can reach them on the web at batterystation.com, and you can get a hold of them by a telephone at 417-257-7799. Great place for freeze-dried food. They've got Mountain House products in bulk, and you can buy those in those larger cans. I've seen his prices are literally $10 to $15 per can lower than you can find it even on the internet. So make sure that you visit them at 417-257-7799 or 303 Washington Avenue in West Plains. Bill Stone from Stone Construction, who's a friend of ours, and does an enormous amount of construction and rehab and remodeling around this area. Make sure that you visit him or get a hold of him at 293-0116 if you're considering doing any kind of remodeling, reconstruction, brand new construction, custom work, light commercial. If you're doing any kind of farm work, from pole barns to pouring concrete, Bill Stone does it all. Stone Construction at 293-0116. Also, Ozark Mountain Self-Reliance, and you can reach them by web at ozarkmtnselfreliance.com, and you can find them at 3225 Highway 62, 1/2 mile east of Walmart in Mountain Home. You can be reached at 870-492-4030. They carry bulk food. They carry all kinds of camping gear and self-reliance products. Make sure that you find them on the web, ozarkmtnselfreliance.com. Okay, we're going to be joined by Art, who is running the program that we had talked about earlier. This is the Family Fun and Fitness program, which is running these classes for the rape and assault prevention classes. Now, this is the first series of these classes is going to be held up in Licking, and it's going to be held at the Country Cupboard at 217 North Highway 63 in Licking. You can sign up there. There are a few slots left for this. There's only a limit of 8 people per class. So if this is something that interests you and your family, I strongly encourage a husband and wife or a mother and children to take it together. This is not just for women. This is for men, women, girls, and boys. Anyone who's got a concern about how to deal with assault, how to deal with rape, how to make sure that you are preventing that. So, good morning, Art. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate being here.
I'm glad to have you on board. So, kind of give us an overview, if you can, on what the program really entails. In other words, what are you going to be teaching these folk?
The basis of the program is really an adjunct to a larger mission that I have. I want to have, because when I was a deputy sheriff in California, I came across too many people that waited for somebody else to come to their rescue.
Dialing 911.
They were dialing 911 and being injured and killed in the process.
Sure.
We've been so emasculated as a culture that people expect the experts to bail them out of everything.
Sure. They expect somebody to ride in on a white horse as soon as you dial 911.
Right.
45 minutes later, you find out that didn't happen, and you're either beat to death, raped, or traumatized.
It's horrible. And the loss to their personal, their families, themselves.
Their loss of self-esteem. I mean, there's nothing more violative than rape, right?
It's absolutely.
I mean, and that goes for men and women, perhaps even worse for men. But, the idea of a child who is raped or beaten is just, that's a scar. And, you can tell me that kids are resilient until the cows come home, and I think that's a bunch of hogwash. That's a lot of psychobabble to tell us that it's okay, to rationalize the fact that we do things that, in our society and in our world that is permanently damaging to kids.
There's no doubt about it. The worst thing we can do is let our kids feel powerless.
Right.
And because
we instill that in them.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, never be violent. Always look for conflict resolution. Sometimes conflict resolution is a bloody knuckles. Hate to say that, but that's the reality.
Right. Now, you're dealing there in the realm of social violence.
Right.
One of the things we like to hit on in these classes is there's different aspects to violence. There's social violence, what you have in schoolyards.
Right.
There's antisocial violence, pardon me, which would be like your barroom fight. Guys posturing, trying to puff up,
sure,
vying for social dominance or breeding rights, just like the primates will.
Sure.
And then there's asocial violence. One of the things that we teach in this class, I don't believe in the use of force continuum. That leads too many people to think if somebody responds with A, I have to do B. If somebody responds with C, I have to do D.
Mm-hmm.
No, what you have to look at is trust your instincts.
Right.
The vast majority of the conflicts that we're in are either going to be social or antisocial.
Mm-hmm.
They can be dealt with communication. And we're all masters at that.
Right.
We wouldn't have survived into adulthood if we didn't know how to talk our way out of something or into something.
Sure.
Manipulate.
And you have to be realistic enough to assume that if there's 3 or 4 people and you're being bullied and you're a kid at school, the odds of you being able to fight back against 4 are dramatically slimmed down. And so, if it's a one-on-one confrontation, and that may be something that you can handle, but you have to be cognizant enough of your surroundings and have enough situational awareness to know that I can't tackle 4.
Right.
And that's when you start talking fast.
Right. You start talking fast. And if you feel the situation warrants it, that's one thing we really, really stress in these classes. If you feel that you're entering the realm of asocial violence, this is the realm of the predator.
Right.
The people that have no moral conscience.
Right.
The people that are all tattooed all over their face and make a lot of noise.
Sociopaths.
They don't bother me as much as the quiet guy that's about 5'4" that will quietly slip a knife out of his pocket and stick you in the throat.
Mm-hmm.
There's people that they just want what they want because they want it, and they know how to employ the tool of violence.
Right.
Now, violence, a lot of people, because of the way we've been conditioned in our government schools and in society, they hear the word violence and they cringe. Violence is a tool.
Sure.
It's just like a rock. You can use a rock to build a cathedral to worship God.
Right.
Or you can use it to crush somebody's skull.
Sure.
And that's what we try to teach people, is how to use that tool.
I sense, and it's my own experience, that the vast majority of people, while they want to be able to defend themselves, I think the biggest problem that most people have, and it doesn't matter whether it's a bully in the schoolyard or you're walking down the street and you see 4 guys coming up the other side of the street and they cross over to your side,
Mm-hmm.
or you're in a store and somebody goes off half cocked and he starts acting stupid. Most people don't know when go is go. They don't know when to say, it's okay for me to now act in a manner that requires physical interaction, right? And that's the fear. It's like most people are just concerned about how, when should I say all bets are off, I can't solve this peacefully any longer. And that's the problem I think a lot of people have. Even those who have trained in some level of self-defense. Mm-hmm. But when you have no training in self-defense, most people will sit there and cower and cringe, even though they're being abused. And that is a perfect opportunity or your program is a perfect opportunity for people to, get educated about when is go, and then what to do when go is here.
When is go? The way I look at it is this way. Of course, I have got a different world experience. I've dealt with the criminal sociopaths.
Sure.
And I have a small advantage in the fact that I'm slight of stature. I'm not a big guy.
Right.
And usually people that I would arrest were very cooperative. There was something in the back of their head that they said, why is this guy, who's probably half a foot smaller than me, why does he have the
this
nerve?
This authoritative stance and approach and body language.
Right. And a lot of it is just presence.
Right.
And we've talked to people. We know people that were in gangs that have killed officers. And when interviewed, asked, why did you kill the officer? I said, well, he looked sloppy.
He showed fear.
It is, a lot of it is just command presence.
Sure.
A lot of it is I'll go out of my way to avoid conflict. I'll try to avoid areas. Why do I want to go to an ATM at 2 a.m?
Right. Or one that's not well lit.
Right.
Find a 24-hour store that has an ATM inside.
Right.
Duh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Why do I want to go to a bar, and if somebody starts blowing me down, or
why stay there?
Stay there, or they're insulting my wife.
Right.
It's not worth my time.
Sure.
To risk that. I'll get up, I'll leave. I don't go to bars. That's an example.
No, I get it.
Most people do that. Or any situation. So if I go out of my way to be a good, civilized human being,
right?
Somebody puts their hands on me. At that point, I have to assume that they mean to do me physical body harm.
And go means go.
Go means go.
Absolutely.
And that's when you decide, okay, do I just give somebody an open, whatever target is available?
Right. Go ahead. You got a few seconds.
Got a few seconds. And that's one thing we really stress is targeting.
Sure.
targeting.
Make sure that you're targeting the right person to eliminate the violence as quickly as possible. Folks, you're listening to America's Voice now. We're joined by Art Thomas, who is holding rape and assault prevention classes for men, women, children, boys, and girls. Make sure that you have an opportunity to contact him. We'll have contact information right after this break, and we'll continue with this interview immediately after this. We've only got a few seconds. Well, like I said, I don't know what's up with the automation, but there we go again. So, okay, so we're back with Art Thomas, and Art is running the rape and assault prevention classes. And there's a phone number, by the way, that you can call for more information. And I didn't have that prior to, but I'll make sure I give it out to you now. Avid listeners, time for pen and paper. I know you've got it handy. I keep telling you. Here we go. 417-260-1006. That's 417-260-1006. So we're talking about this program. Just give us a little bit of kind of a synopsis of the syllabus of the class so that people have an understanding of what they can expect. And then you've got a few slots left open up in the licking program. Would you be willing to hold this class, maybe down here in West Plains if you had a core core group?
Absolutely.
What's the maximum number of people you want in a class? Just for
the maximum number would be 20.
Okay.
Because the guys that help me instruct, they're usually prior law enforcement or ex-military or
Got
both.
It. Okay. And so what's the ratio of teacher to student?
Typically, it's no more than 5 to 1.
Okay. Good. All right. So kind of give us a little bit of a syllabus, if you will, as to what the program entails and what you're teaching these folks.
All right. We'll start off with the basics, the very simple basics, such as a wrist grab or an arm grab.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these things are things that people already know. Either they've gone to martial arts classes,
sure,
and they've touched on these things. And believe me, I don't want to denigrate the martial arts classes. You can learn a lot of good things from there.
Sure.
We're just a very concentrated course in violence.
This is more like street smarts rather than the kata concept.
Right.
Right. Let's not worry about form. Let's worry about function and immediate result.
Exactly.
Right. I got it.
We want to get to it. So we'll start with wrist grabs, arm grabs, lapel grabs,
mm-hmm.
things like that. People bear hugging you.
Got it.
Now, when you get out of these things, if you feel that your life is in danger, a lot of times people are so used to being trained, like a wrist grab, for example. You'll try to break out towards the thumb because that's the weak spot on the hand.
Sure.
Now, most people, they'll get out of that, and they're taught at that point you're free, run.
Right.
No, we'll take it beyond that.
Sure. Strike back.
Strike back.
Right.
Which target is available? Is it testicles? Is it a knee? Is it a throat? Is
mm-hmm.
it the eyes?
And once you've set back the opponent, then you have the opportunity to perhaps at that point either flee the scene, right? Because now you've got some time where you can get away, or alternatively you can continue the attack if you haven't disabled them or there's other attackers.
Right. If you feel that the situation is safe, let's say, because somebody might be doped up,
mm-hmm.
you might get a really good kick into their testicles, and it
still doesn't matter.
They'll feel pain.
Yeah.
But maybe you don't have injury.
Right.
We try to teach injury, and injury is a debilitating state.
Sure.
Where you're going to decrement the body to the point of non-functioning.
Right.
So if you feel that the situation is safe, then you can leave. If you feel that your adversary, and I don't believe we're not training to win a fight. That's sport competition.
Yeah.
we're trying to survive violence.
Right. End the threat.
End the threat.
Right.
Right. If you feel that you still are under a threat, we teach the people involved, strike again, step in. Don't back up.
Go on the attack. Don't stand there and get cowardly after you've already broken the hold.
Right. And again, this goes back to our whole cultural context of violence.
Right.
And when we changed the name of the Department of War to the Department of Defense,
yeah,
I think we did ourselves a disservice.
I get it.
And that's, I'm not trying to downplay the great
service.
No,
it's a societal. This is a societal slide, and you're absolutely right. We have indoctrinated our children with being pacified wussies. We've emasculated our I mean, men aren't men anymore. I read an email from a guy not so long ago who sent it to me, a listener. He says, I was interviewing, he was talking to an older fella who grew up in this area, and he said, back when I was a man, men would kill the men that live today because they'd hang them, for not being men. And so, it's true. Our country he's descended into this concept of somebody else will save me or or fix the problem. And you're absolutely right. A lot of this too is situational awareness. Do you cover that at all?
Oh, absolutely. You have to. You don't want to be paranoid.
Right.
But
you don't want to be a stupid panda walking into a den of wolves either.
I still have family that lives in big cities. I live in a more rural environment now.
Sure.
That's a choice because I want to be in an area where I've reduced the possibility of violence to my family.
Sure.
But if I'm in an area, and I consider West Plains now an urban area.
Well, coming from California.
But as situationally, if you're walking down the street, look in the windows. There's usually a reflection. Mm-hmm. You can see things coming up. Use your ears if you have good hearing.
Right.
Listen to the cadence and tempo of the steps behind you.
Sure.
Does it sound like somebody, as they get closer to you, are they increasing their tempo?
Right.
The way people look. There's usually, it's hard to quantify, but there's a look.
A predator will have a look that you can clearly identify that this is a wolf sizing me up.
Exactly.
To determine how much of a sheep I am.
And
having grown up, by the way, in New York and New Jersey, I'm thoroughly familiar with exactly what that look is.
Yeah, Colonel Dave Goodman, or I think that's his name, is Colonel Goodman. He has some books that he writes about violence. Mm-hmm. And he's got a website on killology.com. But Dave Goodman has got some good talks about what you mentioned.
Right.
About there's sheeps, there's wolves, and there's sheepdogs.
Right.
And we want to be sheepdogs.
Sure.
To me, a man is not a man if he's not going to stand up for his wife and his kids.
Sure.
And then from there, by extension, his immediate
community. Sure.
And then
if you're in the store and you see somebody assaulting a woman, there's absolutely no reason why you should not step in and cease that activity.
Well, in India, I've got an article.
Oh my goodness. That whole Indian thing has just got me nuts. These people are raping women on buses to death, and the rest of the bus is sitting there in silence.
They've been silenced.
Yeah.
During the British Raj, they were so beat down.
Yep.
To accept the authority of the government, and then they were told the government will be here to help you.
Yeah.
And
now they sit there like lambs to the slaughter.
Literally.
Yeah.
And that poor lady, she was eviscerated on the bus. The youngest member of those 5 guys that did the raping
was holding her intestines in his hand. I mean, honestly, those people on that bus should have killed that guy right there on the spot. They should have torn him apart limb from limb, physically, right there.
Justifiable homicide.
Absolutely.
Which is totally different than what is talking about. You mentioned earlier in your opening comments about the Bible and murder.
Right.
It's thou shalt not commit murder. When you go back to the Hebrew.
Right.
It's not. There's a difference.
And for those who are concerned about the difference, I've got a great story that I just posted up on the web. Make sure that you find it. It's on that slider on the front page. Oh. It's about how the Bible deals with self-defense, and it is a thorough study. And I do mean thorough. It's a long one, so make sure you set up for a good read. It draws exact examples straight out of the Bible as to how the Bible deals with self-defense. So if any of you have any question about that, make sure that you get a chance to read that article. I want to make sure, Art, that we give out this information one more time before that we wrap the show, because we're at the closing minutes. Folks, the phone number is 417-260-1006. And this is Art Thomas from the Family Fun and Fitness group. They are running this rape and assault prevention class, and this is a series of 6 classes. It's $10 per class, and then $50 if you sign up for all 6 simultaneous or at once. And the venue on this particular class is limited, and there's only a few seats left. So make sure that you have an opportunity to get into the Country Cupboard at 217 North Highway 63 in Licking and sign up for that. That's where this is going to be held. If you need to contact Art to schedule that, you can call it 417-260-1006. And this is all about, basically the motto is survivors keep fighting and victims quit trying. Don't be a victim. This will teach you the basics of what to look out for, and then in the event that the unfortunate occurs, how do you deal with it? Because that's just as important as knowing what's coming. Knowing what's coming and knowing how to deal with it when it arrives is a critical function of self-defense. And this is not just for women, because the word rape is rape prevention is in the title. This is for men, women, children, girls, boys, any kid who's experiencing bullying. And you know what? You can attend this as a family group. It would be a great opportunity, because the other thing that you can do is you can work together afterwards to make sure that you're practicing the skills you learned, and you've got a partner to practice that with. So don't be afraid to attend it as a family group. Thank you very much, Art, for joining with us this morning. I appreciate it, and we'll certainly. I'll tell you what. If you're going to hold one of the, when you finally book one down here in the West Plains area, let me know. I'll be more than happy to attend that myself.
Great,
and I can tell you that I'll be attending it with my wife and my kid. So that's an absolute great opportunity. Licking's a little far from me, from West Plains. Yeah. But folks, if you're interested in taking this program and you're not in Licking and you'd like to express an interest where Art might hold the class for you, you can also call him at 417-260-1006, and he'll be more than happy to get some information to you, at least take names and phone numbers, so that when he does have a class, he can call you up and he's got an idea of where to hold the next one. All right. Hey, thanks very much, Art. I appreciate you joining with us this morning. Thank you so much. Excuse me. I'm still fighting this cold, guys. So listen, I want to thank Art for taking the time to join us this morning and explain that program. Hey, folks, this is part of self-reliance, right? Part of self-reliance is not being dependent on government, and that means dependent on 911 as well. So here's an opportunity for you to take a couple of classes, get yourself some good education about how and where and why, situational awareness, what to do when trouble strikes, and when is go. We've all asked that question of ourselves, right? When the bully's pushing you around in the parking lot, when is go? When do you finally just haul off and smack them? Well, this is a perfect opportunity to learn that. We are going to wrap our show for the day. We'll be back tomorrow as well from our normal time of 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. You can hear this show again this evening if you'd like to have a family member or a friend listen to it right here on 107.1 at 8 a.m. or 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. And then, of course, you'll be able to find this entire interview up on YouTube this afternoon. Please join us at www.americasvoicenow.org, and you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/America's Voice Now, and on YouTube at youtube.com/America's Voice Now. We make it as easy as possible for you to keep up with us. We have new stories and things that we post up on all of these locations every day. Please join us and continue to be a loyal listener. We try to make sure that we're giving you the truth the mainstream media is hiding. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
Let's get to the point.